Welcome. This is the meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission meeting. Today is Monday, September 13, 2021. This is a meeting both in person and on Zoom. It's 7:02 p.m. Here in the room is the Vice Chair, KG Dudley, acting for Tracy Sharkey, who is absent for the moment. And with us, we have Eric Harris, Art Momini, Mike Greco, and Mark Munjim. So we have a quorum here. I'm going to go through the agenda as it stands in order. The first item on the discussion are orders to be signed. I have these and I will pass them around as we proceed through the meeting. If I get a chance to sign them, I'll sign them and pass them. And then the second item now here on the discussion is a request for the certificate of compliance for 24 Locust Street, DEP number 143, TAC 0893. And I have this. I have the folder on the drive. There's some pictures here. I don't know if I didn't, well, go ahead.
Can I chime in for a second? Sorry, Steve Zesk.
Yep.
You might want to just take that item, because it's associated with the new business, number 13, 24 Locust Street, and you'll probably take those as a group.
What?
It's associated with,
The new filing. So this,
It's under new
this
business.
certificate of compliance was approved 3-4 years ago. They cleared the lot, they never did any more work.
okay,
So they're refiling the exact same order of conditions, exact same plans, and that's on tonight on 13.
okay.
So you either do it now or have the monitor explain what work was done and what they're doing right now, and if you had any questions on it.
You opened it up, might as well continue, I guess.
Well, we'll just push it back to item 13.
You can do that.
All right, we'll address it when we get to item 13 then.
All right, thank you.
All right, then on to item 3, the violation notice for DP number 1430976 for 161 Maple Street.
Hi, this is Andrew Kivo here with Goddard Consulting.
Here, Andrew.
Hi, I'm here on behalf of my colleague Mitch Maslenka and the applicant Denise Davis. So I know Mitch emailed earlier, so our update is with that project is after the storm events the last couple of weeks, a lot of our colleagues were out on emergency job sites, and so the deadlines that we set for ourselves for these projects were not all met, and so the project was not able to be filed for this hearing. We have circled back with all of our engineers, and we're hoping and ready to submit it for the September 20th deadline, and so we are requesting to continue that to the next hearing, and we will be ready to discuss it further then.
Okay.
I apologize for that inconvenience.
So they want to go to October 4th? Is that the
Is
next?
that the next one, or do we have one later in September?
I think it's October 4th.
October.
October 4th, okay. Board, are we okay with that? Do we,
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
okay, nobody's angry?
No.
Which item is this?
This is number 3.
This is a violation of 161 Maple Street. We were trying to get them in here for a few weeks, and we had basically said if they don't come into this meeting, we were going to issue the violation and issue the fine. And so they're here, but they're asking for an extension, and I think that that's probably okay, and we'll just say that we'll see you on October 4th. But thank you for coming in and telling us that.
Yes, of course. No, thank you for working with us, and we will definitely have it ready for the next hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then item 4 for discussion is the Shore Road washout update, and I know that that's tied into a few other, that's tied into at least one other discussion item. So, Steve, what is your recommendation? Do we take this now? Do we wait until 7, or do we wait until 10?
I would, well, yeah, you might want to, you probably do 7 and 4 together, either at 7 or at the end of the meeting.
Okay. We'll talk about it at 7? Well, when we get to item 7 or at the end of the meeting?
Yeah, when we get to item 7, I think that sounds good.
Okay, we'll tie it with item 7. Be there before you know it. Okay. And on to item 5. 5 is 34 Grove Street, update on the crossing, DEP number 1431014. 34 Grove Street.
Want me to go with that, or?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I'm looking to see if I had, did I put that in the shared drive?
I don't see it, but that also doesn't mean you didn't file it under something else.
Sorry about that. So, because I had some pictures of the site. So back in they got this is for Wetland Crossing on Grove Street. There was an issue earlier in the summer. We started logging the site in order to do the crossing, and inadvertently, the big ruts from the logging vehicles caused the water, instead of flowing where the crossing would go, it actually flowed down the access driveway onto Grove Street and really washed out the entrance and some of the neighbors' property. And it was determined that was because of the logging operation. So I went out there, the neighbors had some complaints, they went out there and, just put a pipe in, in order to finish the logging operation, and inadvertently, with the additional rain, they didn't really finish they didn't have a chance to start the crossing, and we had a couple more large storms that continued to wash out the neighbor's area. So before the hurricane, I met the owner and Dale out there, and within 2 days, I instructed him that he has to have the crossing in before the storm, which he did.
Okay.
And so he constructed the crossing before the hurricane. Andre showed up. And in all the subsequent storms afterwards, it seems to be in working conditions. I haven't seen any in the neighbor's property test. I haven't seen any runoff coming down the access road or from the site since the crossing was installed.
Okay.
But there's been, because of this, the neighbors, there's been some issues that the neighbors have had. They have had some complaints with the construction vehicles. Some of it's related to the building department. Some of it early on is related certainly to the controlling the site and the runoff, which they have done now. The crossing is in very good shape. Three pipes they have in there. I apologize, I thought I had the video of it, but I got to put it on my drive. And so the neighbors, I told them maybe to bring it up, early on, that I would bring that to the commission, and they sent, I think someone sent an email today. I forwarded that at 5 o'clock when I saw it today.
Yeah.
One of the neighbors were concerned that what was going on prior to them doing the crossing. So that's where we stand now.
All right.
See if Dale's here.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we have representation from either the developer or engineer for this site?
I think the developer's here. Bill? I don't know
I can say something if you want. There's Dale. I'll let him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw Margaret pick up first. But yeah, I mean,
Thanks.
what Steve has mentioned is correct. Once we got the crossing in, I think, the last storm that we had was the worst storm. We had no issues with water running down there. Initially, it was the ruts from the tree companies changing the direction of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one, we put temporary pipes in, but it couldn't handle the volume of the massive rainstorms that we had. And the last one was large, and it handled it. Steve's been out there to see the crossing. It's installed properly, and it's working well.
Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunate I don't have any pictures or videos of the site, but you're saying that you had wheel ruts on the site before the crossing was installed. Why was there machinery in the area before there was a crossing?
The trees had to be cleared prior, so I think, we communicated with Steve with everything we were doing there.
Typically, they put the erosion controls in, and in order to do the crossing, they had to clear the trees that are growing in the crossing itself, the access way.
Yep.
And so they actually were on the other side, and I think the heavy rain we had in July, they actually were trying to be proactive, and I think by they're back in the vehicle, they left the vehicles in the site, they probably would have been all right, but they tried to take the vehicles off the site and come back after the rains to finish the job.
Yep.
And because it was a little soggy, I think it caused a little rust the first time when we had a major issue.
Steve, are
We had to clear the site to do the crossing.
All right, get your microphone closer.
With the rain we had this year.
Steve, are the ruts what caused the abutters flooded basements?
Early on, and then they finished the logging, and they put some pipes in there, and they were waiting for it to dry up. There was a period where they probably could have done the crossing a little sooner than they did, because the pipes they had in there, just so they could put it out of there, weren't adequate, because they were just really temporary, just so we were hoping for a normal July. And then when that wasn't working, they, and then before the hurricane came, they put the crossing in as fast as they could. We had trucks in there for 2 straight days, and I think they finished it the Saturday before the Sunday storm. And since then, I've been out every, periodically, a couple times a week, and after the large storms, and working. I haven't seen any washout coming. More right now, the more washout, the more runoff comes from Road Street up the hill. And because it's a low area, it might pick up some of the silt from the entrance. So maybe there should be some maybe riprap at the entrance, but nothing is coming from the site that I can see at this point.
So no water's going on Grove Street. How about into the abutters' yards and their properties?
I haven't seen anything from one, I haven't seen, or the one that's directly to the left, she hasn't complained about it, I haven't been on the property, but I haven't seen any, as I'm walking the site, I haven't seen any flooding or anything.
So that email today was for a previous condition?
She might be here, I think she is here.
I'm here.
Yeah, well,
Just listening.
why don't you give us an update?
What, name and address?
Yeah.
Kathleen Whitney, 32 Grove Street.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, before the pipes were put in, like Steve had mentioned, my whole backyard was completely flooded. But since Dale put those, I think you put 4 in, and actually it hasn't even leaked in my backyard. I mean, it was so bad, it was coming in like around our garage that we have out back. It was like a pond back there, but it's definitely, since the pipes were put in, it's better.
Okay. All right. You didn't write it as such on the agenda. Do we have a violation here, or is everything according to plan and things just got out of whack because of the weather events?
I think I put it on there just because the neighbors I was communicating with them, and I just want to let them know that the commission was hear what they had to say. We were on top of it. We were trying to be proactive and working with Dale. Unfortunately, we had so much rain, and they were concerned about some of the ancillary work in construction. So I said, certainly I'll put it on the agenda and we can talk about it. And this was early on before I think he came in and fixed up the culvert in. So I told him I'd keep it on there just because I told you I would.
Okay.
And so I've been working with the neighbors, I've been working with Dale, and just trying to communicate with everybody. And I told him I'd have it on here, and that's why it's on. But I think Dale addressed the issue also, so hopefully from this point forward, they don't have any more issues with water from the access driveway.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that the 2 neighbors across the street aren't on here, because they seem to get the worst of it, even over my backyard. But since the last storm that we have, it's definitely not making a river go down the road, so it seems to be better.
Okay.
But I know that the neighbors lost, some property, damage and stuff like that, but they're not here to talk to you about it, so.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'd certainly be interested to hear about that. Do we have anyone from the other neighbors, anyone else to speak on the topic that we're on? 34 Grove Street?
Well, the people like directly across the street from me, from what I've heard from them, it went into their garage and into their basement and ruined a bunch of their stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other neighbor, again, across the street, the water kind of went down and washed out all the sand underneath the new pool that he just put in.
Okay.
Twice.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I'd really like to be able to address. I mean, I don't know how much of those issues are jurisdictional, but whatever we can do to kind of, make the neighbors happier, is something that I'd like to recommend to the developer, but I mean, without fully understanding the problem at hand, I can't make a recommendation.
Yeah, I know that the one that where he lost this issue with his pool, he actually, he's an Oxford police officer, but he fell down his basement stairs and broke his back, so I figured he wouldn't be on today.
Oh, all right.
You know.
Okay. All right. I mean, this is informational. If I don't have anything else on this item, I mean, board, do we have any further discussion on this one for today?
No, I think we wait and see if anybody contacts Steve.
Yeah.
As this project continues.
And if somebody needs to come forward and speak on the issue, we can put it back on the agenda for October, but I mean, otherwise, it seems like the problem existed, and now the problem is resolved, and there was no violation, so. All right. Thank you. You try and.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on here is 64 Depot Street, which is listed as a violation. Steve, do you want to start out with that?
Sure, so,
I have that.
I got a complaint from one of the neighbors about clearing at 64 Depot Street. It actually is, it was a permit that was, it had an order of conditions to site. I think this commission issued this certificate of compliance last year. And
Oh, yeah.
I put a copy of the plan in
I have the plan, yeah.
the file. So let me bring up I can show you the certificate of compliance or what work they're doing now.
For sure.
Which one, the work they're doing now?
The work they're doing now.
So, this is the,
Oh.
so this is the house, so the place, you see the plan, let me come over to right, pretty much right to the left of the driveway here is where the old limit of disturbances on the plan, kind of hugs the corner a little bit, right where this trailer is.
Yeah.
And so all this work to the left is outside what was originally permitted.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the plan, and there's a series of like trees to remain and trees to be removed.
Yeah, so along the left-hand side, you'll see it's pretty tight. The erosion control is kind of pretty tight to the house.
Yep.
I can bring it. I think I'm gonna cover this.
There's also a limit of work that's right next to the driveway, like a tree line.
Yes.
Right. So this is all was cleared. All this work right here to the left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the violation one right there.
Yeah, okay, no, like I said, I'm just trying understanding what's going on, thank you.
Yep. So I contacted them. Might have been Friday or Saturday. They called me back right away. He actually had some silk fence that he was going to put up around here. I don't think he got to it. He was up there
Okay.
Saturday.
What day was this?
What's that?
What day was this? Because I've got, included in my folder, I've got the letter that's stamped September 7th. Is that when we first became aware?
The letter was just September 7th. I went out a few times and I couldn't get a hold of him.
Oh, okay.
So I went back out. I finally got a hold of him. I think he these Friday or Saturday. It might have been Friday. And so I took these photos and told them to cease and desist verbally. They didn't do any more work. I was out every time I was going out to try to get a hold of them at night. I didn't see any activity coming in. That plane came in. Told them to put the erosion controls up ASAP. I think he bought some, but I don't think he's installed them. They might be here tonight. He said they might show up.
Okay. All right. Do we have anyone else who wants to speak on this? Do we have the owner who wants to speak on the topic? Or, I guess, is the owner doing their own work, or is there a developer?
I think it's the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, name and address, please.
Brandon Lamberson, 64 Depot Street.
All right. Did you want to speak on the topic?
I was unaware that I wasn't able to clear any of it. All I was doing was taking out overgrown brush and dead trees that were dead limbs falling on all over the driveway.
Okay. Are you,
I didn't do anything within what town bylaws stated for the water. I didn't realize I couldn't touch it at all.
right. No, you can't. Have you seen the plan for your house?
Steve left a copy with me, and that's the first time I saw of it.
Okay, so you didn't build this house?
I didn't, I worked with the builder, but I was never given plans stating that I couldn't touch outside that area.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first question. If you were the original owners or not? Yes, they are.
But you're, okay, no, that's wild. That's completely wild. Closer we to the buffer zone here. Yeah, this is why we usually put some kind of indicator on all the properties to show where the limit of work is. Okay. All right, so this is a violation. Board, I guess we need two things. We still need, we need to talk about whether or not we're going to issue a fine for the violation, and then we need to talk about whether or not we need a plan to restore from the violation. Have a feeling about what are the two you'd like to talk about first? Yeah.
I live just down the street.
Yep.
This property, I walk by it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, the work that was done is pretty extensive.
Okay.
The owner said it was just taking out dead limbs and some underbrush, but there's a lot more than dead limbs taken out here, in my opinion.
Okay.
From my knowledge of the site.
Yeah.
And it's, really close to the pond there. It may be 25 feet away, but I think it may be closer than, or within 25 feet.
Let me zoom out a little more.
So, in my opinion, it needs to be restored. I think there should be some plantings put in here, and maybe they need a fence to indicate where the limit of work was supposed to be.
Yeah.
That wasn't done as part of the
Original plan. No, I'll agree with that. Okay. There any thoughts about whether or not we want to assess a fine?
I think we should look at what the plan is for restoration,
Okay. All right.
go from there.
All right then. Okay, so the board, I think what we want to do, and I don't know if we need to vote on this, is request a restoration plan that involves I mean, if there was a plan to clear the area and do something else, you'd have to propose that plan, you'd have to file for it. If you wanted to do any kind of, if you wanted to do the work essentially that you've already done. But what we are looking for is a plan for the restoration work, is to bring that area back to the state that it was before you started the brush and tree removal. And I would also ask that the tires that are stored there, are those jurisdictional? Is that area just jurisdictional up to the house? Can't quite tell.
Steve?
What was the question?
I'm just asking if, because there was a concern from the neighbor who wrote about the storage of the tires there. And I was wondering if the tires were into the jurisdictional area?
The buffer zone?
Yes.
Well, I think it was a part of the approved, I'd have to look at I don't have it by memory, but you have to see the buffer zone on the plan. I think the house is within the buffer zone.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, now I can see it. Okay, the house is outside the 50, but it's within the 100.
Correct.
Okay. So I can't tell from these pictures because they're just, I'm looking at the same picture essentially that Steve's got shown on the share. So I can't tell what's within or what's outside the 50 from this image. So I can't tell if the tires are in an area that's jurisdictional, but so is the entire house. That being said, the trailer looks like it could be within the 50. And I would request that whatever plan be developed means that the trailer doesn't get parked there anymore.
Okay, I'll make sure that's out of the way.
Okay. So do you think that you can put together a restoration plan by the October 4th meeting?
Yeah, I should be able to do that.
Okay.
The
Excellent.
restoration plan come from the developer's original engineer? Or from an engineer, or you just mean he can sketch something on a piece of paper and give it to us?
We could have something sketched. I would accept something that was sketched on a piece of paper, but I would have to be dimensional and I would have to show what the plantings were going to be. So no, I'm not requiring it to be an engineered plan, but it would at least have to have some measurements shown. And by some measurements, I mean, Steve can probably help you out, but if you started with the plan that's already drawn, we'd need to have things like what the 25-foot buffer zone, the 50-foot buffer zone, the location of the house, the location, ideally it would be drawn on top of or in addition to the existing plan, and then show what restoration, I mean, it might be worthwhile to have an engineer do the plan, but I'm not going to require that if it has all the information we need.
Who's the engineer?
I don't think the engineer's involved anymore.
No, probably not. But they have access to the CAD file, they have access
Correct.
to, right, which he needs to be able to
Do that,
do
but
a scaled
that's,
plan, like what you're asking, I think.
I don't know who the
Or he
engineer
needs to get a copy of that plan he
was.
can mark up.
Prepared for Leslie Stevens. This is done by Andrews. So, I mean, I definitely recommend involving Andrews. I mean, that would definitely make a cleaner, more legible plan. But, I mean, if you can put together a plan yourself, then that's fine. Anything else from the board?
I'm gonna have them put up the erosion controls ASAP.
Oh, absolutely.
The silk fence is up with the straw swaddle in front of it.
Okay.
I'll make sure I understand. So Brandon, you're going to be able to get a plan together in 3 weeks?
I don't know what the process takes, but I'll try my best to get you guys something.
Okay.
You have a way to contact Steve to get help on what we need?
Yep, I have his email,
Okay.
and I'll reach out to him.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
This was just discussion, so.
This is discussion, right? I don't technically need to vote. We'll see it. We'll look at it next week. We would have to vote if we were going to issue a violation, but none of you guys seem to be pushing for that, which is fine. I'm not. We certainly don't have to. We would have to vote if we were going to. We don't have to vote if we're not.
Good.
All right, that was item 6. If there's no other discussion on that violation, we'll go on to item 7, which is 115, the Shore Road DEP. There's a complaint, or DP number 143, TAC 0914. That's the retaining wall complaint, and along with that, we'll discuss discussion item 4, which was the Shore Road washout update. Steve, I guess, tell us what's happened since the last time we talked on this item?
So I think the first one, number 7, will be easier to handle.
Okay.
Do that one first. So that we got a complaint. We're still sharing.
You are not currently sharing.
All right, so here's.
Now you are.
115, you see this now, 115 Shore Road.
Yep.
We get a complaint, I guess, about these blocks of, for this retaining wall being installed in this area in front of the septic. And so when I notified the building inspector and the Board of Health, because I wasn't sure if it was associated with those two entities, and I think they've kind of taken over. They've contacted the building inspector has contacted them asking for engineered plans. I don't know if he gave them he's given some instructions on, it wasn't part of what was approved. I don't think so. Ken Fraser, the building inspector, is reviewing this, and I think the Board of Health might also.
Okay.
And then I think Ken, because he oversees the zoning board, did some work, had him knock down the berm in front of the, along the Shore Road also. So right now, I think that's in the hands of the building inspector and the Board of Health. I think they're waiting for some revised plans on that block wall.
Okay.
That's what I know about the complaint.
All right. That's great. I looked through a number of the emails on this. And I've looked at a handful of the pictures. I mean, so you had the building inspector and Board of Health though go. Did that help alleviate Madeline's concerns at all?
Not sure. The block was,
This is her. Hello, I don't want to interrupt you, Steve, but this is Evangeline Sutter, 115 Shore Road.
Yep.
I don't think my mother is on, but I can certainly speak to whether or not that's improved Madeline's situation.
Yeah, I'll have you go ahead.
Okay. We're bringing up the concrete block retaining wall adjacent to our yard, as it will also direct water flow directly into our yard. Mm-hmm. This is 115 Shore Road. Mm-hmm. These are massive concrete blocks that we don't think were part of the original design. And they're just going to, from what I understand, from the slope of the land, it's just going to flow right into my mother's yard. We brought up our concerns. First of all, I really appreciate this forum. I appreciate you all listening to these problems, but you're not controlling the runoff onto my mother's property, onto 115 Shore Road. We brought up our concerns about water flow into our yard in 2016 when you were all contemplating their septic system variance. We brought up our concerns about the drainage pipe and how the DEP called for a 12-inch pipe, but you allowed the millers to proceed with an 8-inch pipe. I don't think that adequately handles the water flow. Mm-hmm. We brought up the berm, and I'm very glad that the berm was knocked down, but that berm in front of 117 Shore Road directly made the water flow right into my mother's driveway, all into her backyard. There's tons of damage. And so, yes, we're bringing up this massive retaining wall in front of another massive concrete wall, which is outside of the footprint of the original house, because it's going to direct the water flow right into our yard. And I can't understand why the town would allow, something to negatively impact a neighbor so much. You've approved the permits and, allowed construction on one lot to negatively affect, the living standards of their neighbor. So, yeah, I wrote to Steve when the Millers were moving the blocks around. I think it was on Labor Day. And it's damaging 117 Shore Road, and that's just not right. What are we supposed to do? Do the same thing on our yard so that it affects, our neighbor, Jeannie Lawrence? That's just not right. You've got to put a stop to this. It's just not right. So that's all I have to say.
Understood.
I'm open to any questions and any feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for explaining. So, okay, so it looks like the removal of the berm would addressed only part of the problem. The original problem you're having with the runoff is still ongoing. Understood. Thank you. Did anyone?
You're welcome. Thank you.
Certainly. All right.
Jean Lawrence is like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll have Jeannie Lawrence speak. Name and address again.
Jean Lawrence, 119 Shore Road.
Yep.
I just wanted to, affirm what Evangeline just said. I too was concerned that there is a large cement structure being put up, and it didn't appear to be on the building plan. And the history of this and the problems created are so stark that really, this should be very carefully monitored now. There's also another problem with water streaming through my house from across the road that in part comes from the broken culvert. We don't need to get off into that right now, but I just wanted to say I was glad Evangeline spoke and I agree with what she said.
Well, thank you, Jean. Greg, did you want to speak as well? Name and address?
Yeah, Greg Bentley from 119 Shore. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have great sound. I'm out on the road. Just to reiterate, we go back to the approved site plan. The approved site plan has clear contour grading down the side of that house. Mm-hmm. It should have had a ditch, but it didn't. But it surely had rapidly declining contour grading following down the side of the house. Now we've got a massive concrete wall that's going to, without a doubt, direct all water on the Madeline's property, and it can't be allowed to stay there. And to go back to the original problem, we're very thankful that I understand there's been some grading on the road, which we're thrilled with, but I haven't gotten to it with a level yet. But our deep concern at 119 is that now the low spot for the water crossing that road, should the culverts fail, which we believe they will, might be in front of our house. And we don't want to just move this problem down the street, right. As was just stated. The bottom line is that the grading of the road is a wonderful thing that needed to be done. That was part of the permit and the approvals, and we appreciate that. But it also called for the historic water path through an existing 12-inch reinforced concrete pipe to go through 115's property. And that's not what's there now. And we've got water coming down the hill and blowing over the road. And we have no reason to believe whatsoever now that it's not going to continue to occur in the next big storm. And that pipe needs to be put back to full volume. Okay. An 8-inch pipe is less than 4/10 the capacity, and it's not even going to be that because it's going to clog up over and over again. And we need to get that pipe back to full capacity and get that that new pond that is now on the other side of the road, on the east side of the road, to be back into where its original confines. And if we find that that's not where the confines are anymore, then we got to look at the solar farm and wonder whether there's, you know, there should be a hydraulic study on that hill to see whether there's more water coming down that hill or not. But right now, we're sitting with our fingers crossed, thinking in all probability from an engineering standpoint that we're going to get whacked in the next big storm. And that's unacceptable. It's got to be corrected. Thanks.
Thank you. Diane, did you want to speak on the topic, or did you want somebody to speak on?
May I speak, please?
Name and address.
My name is Howard Potash. I'm an attorney at 340 Main Street in Worcester. I represent the Millers. And I want to tell you, I talked to the building inspector today, who has the matter under review. We had a long discussion. He was down there. We agreed, my clients had previously agreed to have our engineer provide some sketches for him. And I personally, before the meeting tonight, went down and looked at the situation. I've been a real estate lawyer for 48 years in Worcester. I'm pretty familiar with construction. And I want to tell you that it's not a retaining wall. The grading is not completed on the construction of this house.
Okay.
And these blocks are consistent with the original plans.
Okay.
And nothing new, and the building inspector is going to review that and get sketches, which the civil engineer they hired throughout this project is going to provide them very shortly. And the building inspector then is going to discuss it with me and my clients. And we agreed that we would do whatever he thought was reasonable and fair. And also, at his suggestion, he had met with my clients and Madeline Myers and suggested that since my client has equipment, that he grade the road. And at my client's expense, we did grade the road to try to move water away from Madeline Myers' property, which was done. I want to tell you, I looked at the pipe today, and the pipe is functioning perfectly. And our engineer is going to look at it, and the building inspector looked at it. There's nothing wrong with the flow of water from the pipe. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Originally, when it was put in, there was some clogging. They have replaced the end of the pipe with, well, I think they call it like a bird cage, if I'm using the right term, so that it doesn't clog up. And the building inspector approved that. And so we want that pipe to work, and that pipe looks fine. It doesn't appear, and we'll have expert look at it, it doesn't appear that any of the water that's causing Madeline Myers' problem is coming from my client's property. The problem, and I saw it myself, the problem is coming from down the hill from the solar farm. And the reason there is a problem with the solar farm is because all that acreage of trees was removed, which has absorbed the water, and there was not sufficient drainage put in by the solar farm. Now, the building inspector told me, a very competent man, that he is looking into trying to resolve that and work with the solar farm, because when there is water, when there is a storm with a lot of water, it's going to come down the hill and cause problems on Shore Road. That has nothing to do with the construction of my client. They spent money, they cooperated fully with everyone, and that pipe was put in, and it's working fine. However, when there's a lot of rain, and we've had more than 12, 14 more inches this year, water's going to come down that hill. You can see it. You can see it today. There's water there. It's wet. When it comes down that hill, it's going to come onto Shore Road, and that's the problem from the solar farm, not from my client's construction. And we've done everything to try to help, and my clients have been very cooperative and will continue to be cooperative. Unfortunately, the increase in water this year, tremendous, and the solar farm, and the removal of all the trees to provide absorption, and the failure to have proper retention areas to deal with this water is causing the problem, not my clients. And we'll be glad, if necessary, to provide expert information on that to the building inspector, very cooperative to work with him, that we're not causing the problem. And unfortunately, Ms. Myers, I sympathize with her, but she keeps blaming my client because they're building this house. Their grading is going to be absolutely consistent with what they said they were going to do. They're putting in a correct septic system. They're building a very nice house. They're not pinching pennies at all. They're doing everything correctly, and the house is not finished. The grade isn't finished, and they're not responsible for her problems. And we believe that the solar farm is the villain here, is not doing what they're supposed to do, and they should have to do it. And frankly, my clients are getting tired of being blamed for something that's not their fault. And the accusations we have made against them are without any expert opinion. They're just simply blaming it. Now, I believe the building inspector is a very competent individual. He's looking into it. We'll cooperate him fully, and we'll deal with his recommendations, and he's working on it. And I talked to him for about an hour this afternoon. I told him tonight I was going to be here and will report to you on what was happening. And he said also that anyone who has any questions on it can be free to contact him. And he talked to, I believe, Ms. Lawrence also, talked to him today, and he's going to get back to me, and I'm glad to meet with him and my clients at the site. But we're not the people causing the problems, and we believe we could sustain that accusation, defeat that accusation anywhere. That we, by expert water engineer, that we're not the people causing the problem here, and that's basically our position, that we're not doing anything improper. We're building a house consistent with the plans that were approved.
Okay. Thank you for the update. I appreciate it. You mentioned that you were working with the building inspectors, Board of Health, which is great. Very happy to hear that. And you're going to get some updated plans?
Yeah, the building inspector asked my clients, and I agreed, of course, that he wanted sketches, I believe sketches from the civil engineer they use.
Okay.
Designed everything, and then he's going to talk to him, but he wanted to have, and the engineer is working on it today and tomorrow, and is in contact with the building inspector, and then he'll decide what he thinks is appropriate, whether to meet at the site with everyone or just decide what is appropriate. Now, when the inspector wanted the grading, he told me that he had met with my clients and Ms. Myers at the site, and she agreed it was okay for my clients he asked them to, my client, Mr. Miller, to do the grading on the road, which was done, and which would help. And that was done at the direction of the building inspector, our expense, with Ms. Myers' permission.
I got that. No, and I appreciate that. I hear you. I am asking, you're going to work together on a plan, but this house is in accordance with the original plan. So this is like an updated plan. It talks about like the staging of the process. Is this plan going to include the 8-inch culvert and show how that's functioning properly?
Well, I don't know if the culvert is part of the engineer. No.
Okay. Name and address? Yes.
You said you have to give your name and address.
Oh, Bob Miller, 115 Shore Road.
Yep. You can sit down if you want, it's fine.
Yeah, basically, I'd like to address 4 points on Madeline's driveway.
Okay.
The road has been graded, okay, for many years, and it's been humped in the center. So water runs down both sides of the road. It is pitched approximately half a degree all the way to the Rhode Island border. So it goes from Birch Hill Road all the way to Rhode Island, okay? What happens is water comes down the road, okay, and along the right-hand side, which is my side, Madeline's side, water goes down there and takes a right-hand turn at her driveway. Been doing that for many years, and Madeline or Evelyn will state that it's been down there, but never eroding the way it has in the last year, okay? That's problem number one. The town grading the road caused water to go down there. Number two, okay, the solar farm, okay, has water from our property all the way to the Rhode Island border, flooding the road. That caused anywhere from 1 million to 3 million gallons of water to go down Madeline's driveway, wash it directly into the lake, okay? And there's no silk fence or hay bales there, and there should be, okay? Number three, okay, and this is very simple math. 1 acre of land is 200 by 200 feet, okay? If you take a 1 foot diameter tree, okay, it absorbs and evaporates, trains evaporation through the leaves 100 gallons per day, okay? You do the math, 10 trees by 10 trees on 1 acre is 100 trees. That comes to 10,000 gallons of water per acre. Multiply that by 35 acres, 350,000 gallons per day is no longer being trans-evaporated into the air by the leaves. Where does that water go? It saturates the ground. So as of 3/4 of the year, the ground is not seeing that transevaporation. You're getting 350,000 gallons a day being stored in the ground. It's creating a phenomenon known as hydraulic mounding. And it's going to be a problem, okay? People getting water in their cellars, okay, from Amy, I'm gonna say Amy Nelson's next door neighbor, their cellar got washed out, water is coming onto the road due to this hydraulic mounding. Dot, right next to me on the right-hand side, her elevator shaft has been flooded out. There's water coming underneath Jean Lawrence's property, and Mike Narducci's property is also getting water in, which they never had before, okay? So, 350,000 gallons a day, where does it all go? What's going to happen is in the springtime, as the groundwater rises, okay, people's septics are gonna get flooded out, okay? And I happen to put in septics for 25 years. When the bacteria gets drowned out, okay, it creates a slime on the leach field or a cesspool. And those are just some of the problems that are going to be coming down the line. And that's all I have to say. That is basically the problem with Madeline's driveway. It's not water coming from my property.
Understood.
And do you have any questions?
No, I don't actually. I think that all sounds reasonable. I guess I was going to ask why you would recommend erosion controls on a hillside. I would think you'd want a more permanent solution.
I think you need a stormwater management firm, okay, hired
Right.
to review the whole project, okay, and come up with solutions. And I'm not only identifying problems, solutions are, okay, put in additional pipes across the road, okay, pay for the, letting it go into Lakewood. Oh, pay for the easement, put the pipes across the road. And I believe you're in violation of the Clean Waters Act, okay? Because you have unfiltered water coming from, okay, the left-hand side of the road going into the lake. The other last thing I'm gonna say is, why isn't the town applying for grants from the federal and state government to put sewage down on Shore Road in the entire Hillside? The Warm Lake Association because it's been done around it's been done around Webster Lake, been done around Dorothy Pond, it's been done around Echo Lake in Rhode Island. Why aren't these grants being applied for?
You understand this is all private property, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do. But that doesn't relieve you of the responsibility of the Clean Waters Act. And this is free money, okay? That's all I have to say.
Understood.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Can I say something else?
Name and address?
This is Greg Bentley again from 119. I agree with almost everything that's been said by the last two speakers, and I do deeply appreciate the extra effort that the Millers have made down there. I'm not out there grading that road. I'm not out there digging pipes in the ground. They are, and we appreciate that. But there is one simple fact that everybody is ignoring. An 8-inch pipe isn't a 12-inch pipe. A 12-inch RCP pipe going down that hillside has a huge capacity. And never before in our history, and I understand that others on the road have much longer history there, has that road overtopped from east to west before. And we believe it's still going to. I won't dispute the fact that we have a brand new solar farm on the hill, and there's some real questions about whether their stormwater mitigation is sufficient. But we can't answer those questions until we have everything back to par. And PAR, as listed on the approvals for that site, is a full functioning 12-inch RCP pipe going from the east side of the road, under the road, and through that property down to the lake, as it was through the historic drainage path long before. Everything that we're talking about so far is a result of that not being the case right now, and we need to restore that to the case. And then we'll see, after that, there could be other issues that have to be addressed. And I just hope that the Concom can understand that, and the town can understand that. The town made approvals, and I will tell you, I'm a professional civil engineer, highway guy, drainage guy, and I've been approving site plans for 40 years. And I've never seen anything like this before. I've never let anybody put an 8-inch pipe under a roadway, a driveway, or anything, ever. And right now, we have just degraded the capacity of the historic drainage flow by over 60%. And I can tell you right now that pipe's not going to function in February when it starts freezing at dawn and leaves coming down the hill and everything else. We're going to have to be out there with our boots on all winter long, just trying to keep the small function going through it. But if it gets overtopped on that road again, the first answer is because that pipe's not big enough, and we need to get that pipe back to the way it was. After that happens, then I agree with everything everybody's saying. We're all doing the best we can. There's a new problem on the hill, and we have to address that. But right now, that pipe needs to get put back as per the town approvals for this site. And major damage is happening to adjoining property owners until it happens. And I think the town needs to be cognizant of that and to take it under advisement and correct it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Right before you address that, I do want to remind the group, it's 8 o'clock and we have 5 other items on this agenda and then 2 more after that. And the original purpose of this agenda item is to talk about the retaining wall, which I think we've addressed. But go ahead and respond. Yes, please.
Okay. There is no easement, okay, across my property for a 12-inch pipe.
Okay.
And the other point I'd like to make is I'm not objecting to a 12-inch pipe, okay? The pipe that's there is 65 years old, and it was put in by a bunch of farmers. It's not watertight, nor were joints made properly, okay? There were 6 and 8 foot diameter boulders on the property. They zigzagged around the boulders to get the pipe in, all right? That's problem number 1. Problem number 2, it's $175 a linear foot to replace that pipe all the way down the lake. And I'm not objecting to that, okay? The beneficiaries of that pipe should pay for it, okay? And you're looking at $20,000 to $25,000, okay? I'm not looking to spend that money to put a 12-inch pipe in.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Sit down.
Nope.
Thank you very much.
Sit down.
Did anyone else want to speak on this topic before we go on to old business?
Yes.
All right, name and address? Sorry, go ahead.
Clark Alley at 135 Shore Road.
Okay.
I sympathize with everybody with this pipe. On 135 Shore Road, we've been flooded out. The house is now gutted in the basement, and it has nothing to do with the pipe. It's 100% from the solar farm. And my neighbor, Chris, as well, Chris and Amy. So it has nothing to do with the pipe. When do we discuss what's going on? And what do we have in the mix for a permanent solution to this water? We've been water 9 times since July 2nd, and it's not stopping. So I understand that the discussion is about the pipe. When do we discuss the rest of it and the solutions?
That's a good question, Steve. After your thank you. That is a good question. Steve, you had the DEP come out this past week, and I understand there was some discussion about the solar farm. Was there a thought that we were going to see that, or is that something that's going to be handled in another board? Steve?
Sorry.
That's fine.
This is the first meeting we've had since we've had the DEP do the sidewalk on Thursday, August 26th. They requested to come out here. I notified, I think, everyone that I was on the distribution email list, so there was no surprises. I think about 20 neighbors showed up. The 2 DEP representatives showed up. I showed up for the Concom. No one else showed up for the town but myself. The solar farm project manager showed up and the engineer. And I think it was about a little over 2-hour walk. We started at the solar farm. That lasted about probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour. We did the entire walk around the entire detention pond area, the perimeter of the erosion controls, the whole site they looked at. And then we came in from Rhode Island, at the Rhode Island line to Shore Road. They looked at the NATOs and he parked there and proceeded to walk all the way down the neighborhood and talk to all the neighbors and all the problems, all the way down towards where the culvert is. They walked down to where the culvert comes out to Wallam Lake. They talked to the Millers. They walked to Madeline's property. So that lasted about 2.5 hours. I haven't heard back from them yet on that, on their report, if they're going to send us anything. But the DEP was out there. They listened to everybody. They did an extensive site walk. I know this planning board is a special permit granting authority and they're the ones who granted the permit and oversaw the peer review of the detention ponds. And I think they had an extensive meeting with the solar farm at the last planning board meeting last Thursday. And so this was talked about extensively. So I'm not sure if the neighbors go to those meetings. I think they're on Zoom too. But they, I think, are looking into engineering of what I could hear from a couple of emails, looking at the engineering of the detention ponds also. So I'm not sure where that stands. They're looking at that too. Because the solar farm was originally outside the jurisdiction of the commission, so the planning board permitted that. They, when they flagged everything, they kept everything outside, so they didn't have to file with the commission. They ended up filing with the commission because of some canopy clearing that they wanted to do, which affected some of the structures or some of the runoff afterwards. But the entire majority of the permitting of the stormwater was done by planning board originally. And I think they were in front of them last week, so I anticipate that to continue.
Okay.
And I believe that the building inspector also has authority of requesting information before he gives them an occupancy permit to continue with the project, and I think he's looking at that too.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and I think that's been important to acknowledge that this board did see the solar farm project, and the solar farm, when developing their floodwater management plan, did that outside of the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission because they kept all of their work outside of our jurisdiction. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, if anything is outside a 100-foot buffer of a wetland or 200 feet of a riparian area, then it's outside of this board's jurisdiction. I'm not trying to pass blame. That's just not something that we rule over.
Can I say something?
Name and address?
Bob Callahan again, 135 Shore Road.
Yep.
There's also the water runoff from this project. The lake has a smell to it. It's starting to get a brown tint to it. Can we have it tested for bacteria, etc.? I believe there's something, the water's bringing something down into the lake. Whose jurisdiction does that fall under? I believe it's now getting polluted.
Yep.
Curious, I know Gene was on the sidewalk. I think that was raised during the, were you on the sidewalk? That was raised during the sidewalk, so the DEP, I think, that was pointed out to them during the sidewalk, so I'm not sure if they'll be looking at that also.
We haven't heard anything from the DEP or anybody, so it's hard to tell what they determined. No questions were answered during that period. We did take the walk, but they answered no questions. And I've seen no paperwork, no nothing, so we don't know exactly what was determined that day.
Okay. Were you going to say something, Jean?
Oh, yes, thank you. I just want to say I agree with this point raised. Like, I know there's attention to the culvert and the flooding there, but there is excess water. Other people have been flooded. It's almost certain that the solar farm is contributing substantially, at least. Now, if you talk to Lawrence Cook, I think he'll say that, you know, I don't even know if he admits it near the Rhode Island side, but near our side, he'll say it's due to the culvert, and so that's clouding the issue, and it's kind of manifest in these meetings that we're talking a lot about the culvert, because clearly the water that would have followed the historic path through the Miller property was directed to Madeline's. And so the solar farm people can blame the Millers, and to some extent the Millers are to blame. But I also agree with the Millers that there's more water, but they didn't direct it to Madeline's. And so this is just kind of emblematic of the fact that we need to resolve the pipe and the drainage and bring all that up to what it should be, so that then there's not a diversion of blame, and the solar farm can be accountable for what the solar farm should be accountable for. But until we get the other part fixed, it's hard to tell how much the solar farm is costing. Across from me, there's a huge pond and lake that forms. It now drains through my house. I'm starting to get worried about mold and everything. And I don't know how much of that is just from the culvert, which creates a brook on the wooded side of the road, or how much is from the solar farm. I know that there's some from the culvert, and I think there's also some from the solar farm. So, but I just want to say about the lake, it is darker. There is an issue. The woman at the DEP, I brought up there was more algae on the rocks near my house and others right there. And she said it's probably the warm weather, but I swam across the lake like a week ago or so, and there's not algae on the rocks on the other side. So this is like what this Concom exists for, is the protection of that lake, as well as us and our homes and things. And so I just really want to applaud your active engagement in this, because this is a big deal. And we really need to be assertive about getting attention to this. And so I just want to say that I appreciate your efforts.
Absolutely. And to address, I did say I took an action after we left the last Conservation Commission, because we had talked about bacterial issues. I did contact Blackstone Valley Watershed Association's water monitoring groups for both the Mid-Reach region, which includes Blackstone Valley, as well as the Rhode Island region. I haven't gotten data back from Rhode Island region. I talked to Mid-Reach. They said the bacteria you have sounds, unfortunately, very normal. And any data that we had for the Wallem Lake coming out on the Rhode Island side, because Wallem Lake drains onto Rhode Island's watershed, it'd be unlikely that we'd see unusual data because of the size of the lake and the fact that we had high rain events multiple times throughout July and August, and that would include runoff from everywhere around the lake, not just this neighborhood. But I have not gotten that data back, and I wouldn't expect to see anything noticeable, but I have still requested that data. They test monthly, so it they would have long-term data for the outflow from Wallam Lake. Certainly. Unless there's anything serious issues, I would really like to move on to our regular business on this commission. I do have one more hand raised, name and address.
Amy Nato, 143 Shore Road, Douglas.
Yep.
I'm actually, my land, I have an empty lot that abuts the solar farm, and that lot is inundated with water. We are right at where their second detention pond is, and my lot is just flooded. So regardless of that, I mean, we're all getting water. The lake is different. There's reddish tint to the lake, which we've never had. We need a plan. So I did not know there was a planning board meeting last week. I would have attended. Is there any sort of advice your board could give us? Because I feel like we're flailing and we can't get this solar farm signed off on because the problem isn't fixed. So planning board, not your board. I just feel like as a community, we need to know what to do.
Yeah.
It's a mess down here.
So for sure, and I'm going to want Steve to speak on this as well, but for sure, in terms of the planning board, that is specifically the stormwater management plan for the solar farm. So that's important. Again, and here, the one agenda item they had that's relevant to this issue was really just the retaining wall on the Miller's property. We do go through those other issues to kind of provide a forum for this discussion.
Okay.
But again, we're interested in protecting the resource area. We are looking for an engineered plan coming out of the culvert was put together under an emergency order. That doesn't mean we don't need a plan for it. And I know I had Steve reach out to legal guidance because we need to figure out how we're going to get that plan. This issue is complicated by the fact that the road, Shore Road, is private property. And so, you know, the gut answer is, hey, you know, whoever owns the property should be filing the engineered drawing. And I don't have an owner for the road. I only know of the owners of the various houses. So we would like to see a plan, but I don't know if Shore Road has to get together as an association or a community as a group to produce that plan. But that's not something that the town can do for that community, and I have not been able to find out where the plan
I
comes
wasn't referring to that plan. I was referring to a plan moving forward. Like, how do we get this resolved? My fear is that solar farm is going to be approved, they're going to go away, and we're still stuck with mounds of water.
Right.
That's my fear.
Go ahead, Steve.
So the special permit granting authority for the actual structure of the solar farm is the planning board, and in that permit, there's a lot of authority to the building inspector regarding what, you know, activities and there's conditions in there that have to be met, and I think if there's adverse effects on stormwater is one of them where he doesn't have to sign off on it. So that should be, I'm not sure if that's on the next planning board meeting, but so to answer your question, there's other boards looking at this, and even though they filed with the commission, the bulk, you know, and there was some changes in the stormwater due to the filing for the tree clearing, which the commission looked at and Bill Cundiff looked at. The bulk of the stormwater review was done peer review by the planning board and the special permit granting authority. So
yeah, we need to see what the
and then you have, you know, with the other boards with the culvert.
I don't know, we're getting
and
them.
the building inspector is the
And that's
ZBA
not
officer.
scope.
So I think in the ZBA decision, that's where it said that they had to take care of the road, Shore Road, and I'm not sure if the pipe is including in that, so you can ask them about that too.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Next item on our agenda, old business, 7 p.m., except for it is now 8:15 p.m. We're moving on to a public hearing continued for 39 West Street, was 62 Manchog Street, entrance moved to 39 West Street, Dennis Church, earth removal. We had the opportunity to do a site walk on this property. Tracy is back with us.
Hi.
Do you want to take this?
No, you can go.
Okay, great. So yeah, a couple of us had an opportunity to do a site walk. Other than that, Steve, do you want to update us on the property or the plan? We're trying to do here.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, they submitted the plan to come off of West Street. I don't know, I uploaded some videos. I took videos of 3 areas that were of concern. One of them would be I don't know, Mark, do you have the plan, or you want me to bring it up?
I have the plan, Steve, if you want me to bring it up. I'll screen share for you.
Did everyone get a chance, the commission members, to see the videos I sent, or I could play them if you want?
Did anyone see the videos?
I just need you to enable it, Steve.
I didn't see
the video.
Steve, let's see the videos, please.
Let me show the videos first, all right, so.
Okay.
So I'll do the first one. So as you're coming off of West Street, there's a house there, and so there's actually a stream crossing, and so everyone see this?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm heading down towards West Street, where the entrance is going to be. And so this is going to be the first crossing, the stream crossing, open box culvert, Mark, 3-sided.
Yes.
Or maybe if you want to just explain your crossing.
Yep. So it's going to be a temporarily during construction, we're going to have a 24-inch RCP pipe at that location, at both locations, and then we're going to, once the site is stabilized, install an 8-foot by 4-foot open box culvert.
So this is West Street.
Yep.
Here, we're going to come through here. So this has to meet the open ratio for the stream crossing. You know, the open ratio of 3-sided box culvert. You know, the plan didn't really get into detail about the bank width. I'm assuming it's wide enough that you guys located that in the field.
Yep.
And then. And all these areas, so this is, you know, one of the concerns. So this is a big gravel base. Back to the left thing. This is a big gravel knoll. So as you cross, you come up and over, and then there's another wetland crossing on the other side. So it's just the steepness of these slopes is, and just making sure that they're engineered. I'm sure you're going to do that to protect each area. Yep. You come up over that knoll, you get this is the next crossing. So right here is this is a little wetland, and so pretty much where I'm walking across, right here you can see the flag. This is where it's going to be that they're having their little crossing for this wetland. And go up over here is where the stream is. If I keep walking, I go back to West Street. So now I'm turning around. So if I came from West Street, I'd be crossing right about here to get back to the site. And then there's one more site, and then Mark, when it shows the plan, I just want to show one more site. There's a site right where you get back to where the original clearing was. I'm calling it overland flow.
Yeah, Steve, we did a site walk. It was wet, but not like the other 2 sites.
Right.
I really wanted to.
Can you see this? So this is not wet. Wetlands to the left and wetlands to the right, but I think it's hydrically connected in a way. You can kind of see where the leaf litter.
Right.
So if you put a road in here right now with no culverts.
No, we asked her.
This is not wetland, but this is all runoff that's coming from the hillside. And it's coming down the hill. So the plans, I don't think they show a culvert, but it looks like you get a lot of runoff in this section, and then you get a lot of runoff coming from probably overflow from the, they call it overland flow. that when you get a lot of heavy rain, it's just going to flow out, pour out of that uphill wetland, and then pour down the hillside. And it's hard to see. There's probably another small area that will probably hard to see on the camera. But those are the three areas that Mark, if Cable can have Mark Allen share the screen, you can just point those out.
I'll kind of go through those with you, Steve, as you went. Can everybody see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. So, just to recap what Steve had done, Steve took you basically from the West Street intersection and traveled north up to the area of where the gravel removal operation is designed to be. This new red line denotes where the new set of plans comes from. The blue line represents the previous application, which we have now determined to be more resources get impacted with riverfront area and aquifer protection district zone. So going down to where Steve started the video, and down a bit here, he was at this location. He was at this location here looking back towards West Street, and that culvert crossing is shown in this location where we have the narrowest wetland channel, and we're going to replicate that with 600 square foot of replication in this area here. I believe the stream crossing standards and the bank width calculations are on this sheet here.
Yeah, they are. I just didn't see bank flags, so I'm not sure if the field located those or how you...
Yeah, no, John, we did field locate the edge of the bank. I could probably turn those points on just to show you where we came up with the numbers. So, and again, what we're looking to do during construction is to get the 24-inch pipes into the ground, and then once construction is stabilized, to put in the box culverts, which are 8 feet wide by about 4.5 feet deep. The second location Steve went to is this crossing in this location. And like Steve mentioned, from the first crossing, we have to go to traverse up the hill to match the gas pipeline easement elevation, create a high point or kind of match the existing grade, and then come back down to the second crossing here. And those are 10% grades that will be stabilized with the construction roadway. And this location here, this wetland crossing, is again almost identical to the first one in its size. There's going to be a 550 square foot fill and a 1,100 square foot replication associated with that crossing as well. The third location, which Steve pointed out, is in this location here. We're currently not showing a hydraulic connection, but based on that evidence, I think a revised set of plans will call for that for sure. And we'll just simply size out the necessary storm events to make sure that the water gets from point A to point B instead of collecting and washing down one side of the road. And then heading further north, I think the end of the flagging was at the limit of earth removal, which comes out here. And I showed in green the areas in which the erosion control measures are going to be field staked and installed, so the entire perimeter of the project is going to be protected by the erosion control measures, as well as the areas of the wetland replication in these locations. We did meet with Planning Board. They did have a peer review done. We have begun to address all of the comments in the peer review letter. There's nothing major, but we just wanted to have this hearing first before we issued a revised set of drawings. So, this input tonight will get reflected in the next iteration of plan drawings. Just as an FYI, we re-notified Mass DEP We sent them these revised set of plans. We sent a certified mail. We have not yet received any sort of response, and I don't believe we will, unless they have to, for some reason, issue a superseding order of conditions. We just haven't had the experience where they issue a second set of comments. But they did receive it. They do have it. We've also taken the measure of re-notifying the abutters to the project of this change that was mentioned at the planning board. So we just want to make the commission aware that all of the neighbors have been re-notified that the change has occurred, that the project is not being accessed from the north, but it is being accessed from the 39 West Street point. So in a nutshell, that's where we are today. Like I say, we have a good handle on where we're going to, how we're going to address the engineering comments from the town. And we're just looking for any comments or questions that you may have.
Quick question, Mark, Steve, again, just, it might be more of a planning board, but that's petroleum pipeline, is that dormant or abandoned?
It's dormant. I'm sorry, it's dormant, and I don't know if Andy Leonard is in the audience tonight, but from what we were told, there is a pipeline in the ground, but it is out of commission. And in order to excavate that pipe, it was something to the effect of $180,000 for the Tennessee or whatever pipeline is to oversee and remove that pipe.
Petroleum or gas, natural gas?
Gas.
So it's not petroleum?
Correct. To my knowledge, I'm a little sorry, but that's my knowledge.
Yeah, name and address.
Murray Bristol Pine Sanderson.
Thank you.
I believe it is petroleum. It hooks up to whatever the well field was that is now town property.
Yep.
So that's the same, pipeline. So whichever pipe it is, I don't.
Have you talked to them? Mobile used to own it, so they just, it used to be like, there wasn't much cover on these pipes, so, I don't know if you're excavating or contingencies on if you do hit it.
Well, we're hoping never to see it, honestly, in a perfect world. But I think what we're doing is making proposals to be well above.
Okay.
I know when Mobile used to file a lot with the commission when they had the active pipeline, and it's only, the ones I saw was 3 to 4 feet deep, maybe less in some areas, deeper in some areas, so it's not that deep. So I don't know if you talked to them at all, or have to work something out with planning board on making sure that heavy trucks and whatever you have, that's going to
Right.
that. Who knows what's still in it?
So we've had dialogue with them, and it's old. Nobody really knows the exact location. As far as how full it is, I think it's only remnants. They put something in the pipe itself to jelly up any residual oil and whatnot, but nobody's really seen or heard from it. Who knows when.
Okay. Thank you. All right. All right, did you have any other comments from the sidewalk, or?
No, those were the two things. For the rest of the group, Katie Grace and I had gone out onto the property. Actually, we bumped into the property owner when we showed up, and so they knew we were out there. And we did identify a third area, which it looks like is being addressed. And we also saw the venting from the pipeline in a couple different spots as well. We weren't sure exactly what it is, but it makes sense by what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So if they address those 3 spots, I think I'm okay.
Okay. So what I thought we said we were going to get an updated plan that addresses the wetland area up here. Sorry, I'm pointing to my own screen and not.
Right, he just mentioned he was going to do that.
Yeah, so if there's no other issues, are we looking for a continuance?
Yes, please. So we can
Oh, sorry.
take these.
Yeah, I was going to, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so we take these comments,
Wrong mark.
concerns, questions, we'll put a set of revised plans together, a written response to this meeting and to the planning board's meeting, and have one set for both the next planning and Concom meetings.
Great.
Okay, sorry, wrong Mark. Go ahead, Mark Mungem.
I want to ask you a couple questions about the crossings. You noted, or you said that there was going to be a temporary 24-inch RCP put in the crossings through the construction period. Is that correct?
Correct. Just to get the trees cleared, the vehicles in, and get the road access to the pit cleared and stable. Not during construction of the actual gravel removal operation, just for the access drive to get up and over and get stabilized.
Okay. Yeah, that concerned me when you said that. I thought that meant that while you were getting all the gravel out, you were just still going to have 24-inch pipes there, and then the box culvert was going to be put in after that, and I didn't understand why that would happen so late in the process. But it's only just to get clearing and the driveway done.
Absolutely. And I think just listening to previous projects, I think one of which may or may not have had a temporary pipe in it, may have blocked up, some flow. So that's what we're trying to avoid is, tree clearing gets done, the RCP gets installed, and you keep continuing brush hogging as you go up the hill and up towards the gravel removal area. And then once it's all stabilized, we come back and just put the permanent structures in.
Based on the discussions that we've had with other projects tonight and this summer with all the rain that we've had, is 24-inch pipe enough? Is that a big enough pipe?
Yeah, absolutely. A 24-inch pipe at a decent slope is going to carry a lot of water. And I think based on the field observations we had, I think the stream channel is only 2.5 feet wide. Yeah, about 2.2 feet wide. So for a month or two while that access road gets put in, I believe that's going to be, more than sufficient.
And it's going to be done during low flow anyway.
Correct.
Is that,
So that'll be a condition.
that'll be a condition? Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Also, this is technically still a public hearing, so any questions on this from the public?
Actually, I had one other question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry about that. You said it was a 10% slope from the pipeline down to the wetland?
Correct.
And then I assume that driveway is going to be a gravel driveway?
Yes, so I'm going to, it's going to be a compacted gravel driveway. I think I have a detail on the plan.
So the water that's flowing down that driveway, will it be shed to the sides? Will it go all the way down the driveway and leave the driveway at the wetland crossing? How will that runoff be mitigated?
It's going to be crowned at the center and graded in such a way that it's going to be, take half go one way, half go the other way, so that one side doesn't get the brunt of it.
And so when it comes off the driveway, where does it come off?
Let's see here. So as it comes off the drive, we're going to create a high point in this location here, come down towards the wetland area. Half will be on the east side and half will be on the west side. And this particular location is a cut, not a fill. So there won't be additional material being brought in, it'll actually be being removed.
Right, so I'm looking at it like there's going to be water coming down both sides of the driveway, and they go right to the wetland, don't they?
They do, yes.
Can any of that water be removed before it gets to the wetland?
Removed in what way?
Should there be riprap along the edge of the driveway or something to slow down the velocity of the water? Or should there be a pool or sediment pool or something to take the water out and let the fines settle out before it drops into the area of the wetland crossing?
Yeah, I mean, this being a smaller project, it doesn't require the Mass DEP full standards for stormwater because it's not a paved road or not a project of 4 or more units, but you know, the majority of the water that's going to be coming off the hill is going to be through wooded areas and then just this gravel area. I mean, we could talk about putting in a temporary sediment basin, you know, a small temporary sediment basin at the low point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can run that by the powers that be.
I think it would be a good idea to have some riprap and a little basin area personally, but I'm only one person on the board, but that's what I would like to see.
What Mark was saying, like if the roadway was superimposed and it was all coming off evenly, so sheep flowing through the woods and it wasn't point source channeling.
Mm-hmm.
But if it gets to a point where you get some channeling and then it's just point sourcing and then collecting the fines and then it's just the velocity is going to overwhelm the wood area.
Yep, no, point well taken.
Okay.
So could you just look at that with your revision, please?
Absolutely.
Anything else, Mark?
No, thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, excellent. All right, so this is going to be continued. So with the things you got to do on the plan, are you good for October 4th?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. All right, so we're continuing both the public hearing, and we'll see you on October 4th at...
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for...
Thanks, Tracy.
Second.
To October 4th at...
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Great, thank you very much.
Second by Art.
So,
All those in favor?
Aye.
KGI.
That's
Eric
unanimous.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Bucko, aye.
Thank you.
Mark Mungem,
Even better. All right, number 9, 7 p.m., even though it is 8:38. Public hearing continued for Lakeshore Drive. They asked for a continuance.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing for 55 Lakeshore Drive to October 4th at 7 p.m.
Second.
Seconded by Art, motion made by Tracy, roll call vote, KG Diddley, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Bucko, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
Thank you. 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
It's not 10 o'clock, it's item number 10. You watch out. I'll keep you here till 10.
At 9.
This is Shore Road Lot 299, parcel 715. I saw that Cliff read, I don't know, did they already tell us that I didn't see an email saying that this was continued, but I'm going to assume since Cliff left.
Yes.
Mark, did you ask for continuance, right?
We are asking for a continuance.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Margaret. I thought you were there.
It's on my notes.
All right. I'll entertain a
So,
motion.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing for Shore Road Lot 299, parcel 7.16 to October 4th at 7 p.m.
Second.
A motion made by Tracy, seconded by Mike Greco. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Bucko, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
KG Dudley, aye. Thank you.
The next one is Judon. He's doing a double meeting tonight as well.
It's 175 Southwest
So,
Main Street. This has been
he said
continued
to-
for the last...
He said to put him to the bottom of the list.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, I didn't see you.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, never mind.
Here, I'm here.
You can open that for one.
All right, excellent. Wait, it's a continuance, so I don't have to read the green
Yeah.
sheets or anything. All right, so this is 175
Hi,
Southwest
CB.
Main Street. Thank you, that's helpful. All right, so what were we looking for on, we got a DEP number. Am I thinking of it?
And we were waiting for the form, I had to change the forms because the checkbox for the buffer zone only
Okay.
was checked. And we updated the forms. I sent them to Steve last week.
Yeah,
Just
I'll
reflecting the cut and fill, the compensatory storage section of the Form 3.
And I got those and I updated the order conditions that if you want to sign.
Yeah, I saw those. All right, guys, I don't remember if you,
I believe my only comment was that we're waiting for DEP to be updated with the plans. You also had a comment about discussing that that portion. You had that 2 times ago. Something
Yep.
about the plan with the cuts and because they're raising the house.
They're raising the house, and I had concerns about increasing the overall amount of non-permeable surface areas, and if there was a plan to put any kind of like downspouts or a rain garden or riprap or something to deal with that increased non-permeable surface area.
There was not any specific spot for it, but we did take down the mound to compensate for the fill that was within the floodplain. So that is a flatter area, which will slow down and retain more water than previously as the mound was.
You've got a high groundwater problem, so they could possibly do a rain garden, but you're asking for him to redesign, and there's ledge, I think.
Yeah. We're saying that because the slope is lesser, that you're not going to have issues with runoff at all?
I'm trying to share my screen. It's kind of, we took like a mound out that had the amount of earth that we needed when we filled in the portion of the floodplain. We took that mound and we flattened it out. It would turn it into a lawn.
Is that a grassy lawn?
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't do a lot for water, just grass.
See this? Yeah, so we're adding this amount of impervious. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, thank you.
Can you zoom in, please,
Yep.
to where your cursor is? Keep it going, keep it going.
Keep it going.
Okay, that's good.
There.
So that's the area that we're proposing to put the addition on. So that will be a roof area.
Right.
Which is cleaner water than water that hits the ground. So over here is where we had a mound, a natural earth mound in this spot. We're clearing to compensate for the fill that was put here. We're actually flattening this out, so there would be much more. This area won't be running off as fast down into the lake as previously.
Discharger, like Steve like discharge.
Yeah,
You say that's going to be put back into lawn?
Right here, yes.
One issue I have with this plan is it does not show the bank of the pond at the Wishart property, which I'm thinking that area that you're proposing clearing is 30 feet from the pond edge, maybe? The pond works back up and in closer to the top of the north arrow there.
Oh, you're
Over
saying
here?
off property?
Yes,
There.
yeah. That
What's
house is
that?
kind of on a point, and the pond wraps around.
There's also a tree line shown, though.
Oh, there's trees there,
Oh, okay.
but they're right on the
But
bank
it's-
of the pond.
You can see roots.
is there a reason we didn't do a
Yeah,
sidewalk
can you
here?
blow up that, can you go up to the right where it says site and
always do that.
expand on the plan a little bit there?
He's talking about over here.
Maybe not.
Just went by there today. I just went by there today.
Yeah, but you can't see this part.
Yeah.
He's talking about this right here.
Yep.
So,
So can you
Mark,
see-
where the shed is,
Pardon?
where the shed is shown on the plan, you're saying that it scoots, Laurel Lake's bank scoots in?
Yeah, I mean, if you look
I mean,
on
you
the
can see it cutting in
left
there.
side, the left property line there, the pond really wraps around
Oh.
and comes back. So,
I think he means further up from where the shed is, though.
I mean,
Yeah, right there.
it comes right down here,
So over this way.
right in there.
Steve,
So
did
it's
you
not, we're
walk
not getting
this
a good
property?
representation.
Steve, did you review the flags?
Want to see the video?
No, I want to know if you reviewed the flags.
Well, it was pretty, well, it was pretty distinct. It's just, edge of stone, like, it's a retaining wall all the way along
Okay, so the neighboring property has a closer bank than depicted on this plan for the resource area.
I didn't want to I did not go on a neighbor's property.
Jeez.
So they kind of stopped it, well, I guess they could have gone a little bit further to the property line. The question is because it's in the buffer zone?
Yeah, so the activity is within the 100 or closer than what is actually shown for flagging. So the closest resource area to the disturb, do the work, is not shown on this plan. It appears that there's a 100-foot buffer that's not correct.
That's coming off of this property?
No.
Oh.
And I'm not even sure if that's.
Because this is your 50, and then this is 100, and it does come back to here, but it's just like
But
this.
no, but if there's a flag right here, it would be like
It
that.
would be this, okay. Okay.
So we would need to.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we need to identify any resource areas within 100 feet of the work that you're proposing.
You're 100% correct. In looking at that map and now looking at the other side, it's probably most likely what it does over on that side too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's a bridge over here, and I'm wondering why there's a bridge if there's not water.
And if it's very distinguished in the field, I mean, you could maybe even aerial photo it instead of going on other people's, but you're
This could
allowed
be a
to go on other
decorative
people's
bridge.
properties, so.
It could be a decorative bridge.
Yeah, I'm guessing the 50-foot buffer will move into like kind of this area.
Correct.
Go ahead, Mark. So then, my other comment would be, is if this area that you're clearing, because I guess I wasn't clear on, this area that you're flattening out as your compensatory storage area, that's going to be planted with grass? Like lawn grass?
Either that or wood chips. I don't know what he's actually.
Okay, so.
That would be I'm.
Neither of those are native.
I don't have an issue with the plan per se, but I think that area should remain as woodland.
Oh, yeah, it
So
should
I think
absolutely
it should be replanted as.
Be as true, but it just has to be water tolerant. But like neither wood chips nor grass are water tolerant either.
Yeah, that would be my.
So like there's two demands here that we're trying to balance.
Well, compensatory storage is a lot higher demand to balance.
But well, like what do you normally plant in compensatory? Like I don't want to fill it with crushed rock either.
This area.
It's not a dry well.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what you usually do with this, but I'm really not okay with it being
It's
lawn.
not going to be wet.
No, it's
not going to be wet.
It's not going to be wet.
I can guarantee you it's not going to be wet.
Yeah.
Okay.
The pond is as high, or it was as high as it's ever been, to my knowledge, 2 weeks ago.
Well, I didn't know how far they were digging down.
Right.
So.
I don't think that elevation, I don't think it'll be wet.
Okay, yeah, in my head, I had pictured this as an area that they were digging down to create space.
Not like a
So
pool.
if that's not the case,
No.
then I guess I'm less concerned. I'm still frustrated in any situation where we're taking away some kind of environmental resource area and turning it into lawn or any other kind of monoculture or wood chips.
I agree.
So that's an issue. And then while we're at it, I'd like something, I appreciate that, there's less of a slope coming off of that roof, but I would like some option, something addressed for outflow from that surface.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do we want to do a site walk also?
I would love to.
Have stuff staked?
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine that they would stake, well, I don't know, I don't want to put words in people's mouths. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I'm just asking the board, what would you like to see staked out there for orientation?
Personally, I would want to see the corners of the addition, and then I guess this garage is out of scope. Well, we'd want to wait, and this one's out of.
Jude, this is staked already, right?
This one would be staked, and then we want to see the new wetland flag, if
thought
there's
it
any
was.
new.
Yeah.
on the property if there's any new wetland flags, obviously. So we'd want you guys to have enough time
Yeah,
to reassess the wetland buffers.
you can let Steve know when it's ready,
Yeah.
preferably at least a week before our next meeting, before the October 4th. I think that's been working out.
I was going to ask the board what else we wanted staked. Okay.
As long as you can orientate yourself when you're in the field.
Yeah, for sure. No, if we have the corners of the addition, that's fine. I can see the space, as long as I also know where the wetlands are. So,
Well, I would just suggest that we need to have a continuance of the wetland line on the,
Yeah.
on the western side.
Yeah.
for sure, I'm just trying to set up the sidewalk. So,
How long will it take them to get the flagging done?
that's my next question, yes. Is that something you guys can do a week before the next meeting? Or more than a week before the next meeting?
I can.
Okay.
I can try for something like this. I think so.
Okay.
We're running really behind on survey, but for something like I could push something in. Yeah.
Okay.
Could you let Steve know if it gets complete, when it gets completed?
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, honestly, I don't mind if it's getting close. A lot of times I go out and do sidewalks like the Sunday before or the morning of the meeting, so.
Okay. I mean, I'll try and get it done. Next couple days, so that we have time to look at it.
Okay. Awesome.
And I will find out what we're proposing for planting. I will suggest, I heard what you said, and I will suggest something more native so that we can clearly show that on a plan. And I'll look at some infiltration for the roof, and I will update the resource area lines.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, because that's also important if someone comes along and does something in the future and they have this plan and they think it's not jurisdictional. Right.
That can happen sometimes. I think I may have seen that once or twice.
No one in the public? Anyone in the public?
Oh, yeah, this is a public hearing.
Okay.
All right. If there aren't any other comments from either the public or the board or anyone else here on this item, I'll entertain a motion to continue.
So moved, to continue to October 4th
At 7.
at 7 PM.
A date and time certain. Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Art, seconded by Tracy. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montminy, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungem,
KG Dudley, aye. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 12, 7 PM, but actually 8:54. NOI DEP 143, TAC 1027, public hearing, notice of intent, 0 Makowski Drive. Is this? Oh, this one is also continued. All right, I don't remember this one. Steve?
He's the owner, is on, or the applicant.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about this one.
I believe you.
We'll bring the plan up.
No, I'm saying they requested a.
We had talked about doing a site walk
Oh, I
under
didn't know
Steve. It had been staked, and I went out and took a look. It looks pretty straightforward. There's actually quite a bit of water across the street, but there's a culvert running under the road, and as you walk up the driveway that's staked out, there's some water along the left side. But it doesn't look like anything crazy, so, not from what I saw.
This is a crossing.
Yeah, I got a video, I took a video of this center line. Like I was saying, like right here there's a little culvert pipe along the road.
Right.
When you walk, you don't even know you're walking through a wetland when you get to the wetland areas. And then back here, I know they modified the plans to put everything out. I did, when I went out there, there is a little wet area here. I think either the drainage ditch that goes along this side of McCuskey Drive is clogged, because the guy's saying this fills up and flows over the road, so the culvert pipe might help, but the neighbor that lives up the road a little bit, he just wants to make sure that this pipe is adequate to drain wetlands or to continue the path where wetlands drains along Tulsi Drive. He doesn't want it clogging and flowing over the road. I can show you if you want to see the video.
Okay, I don't want to.
I'm sorry, is this just discussion item? I just stepped away for a second and came back.
Yeah, we're on 0 Makowski Drive, and we are just reintroducing the topic because it's a continuance. So I was just, yeah, name and address if you wanted to speak on this now.
Sure, yeah, Karen Skinner-Catroni, I'm the wetland consultant. We were before you at the last hearing. There was an issue with the legal ad. So there was just discussion that night.
Yes.
At that meeting, the commission requested information regarding the pipes, which we've supplied. The engineer submitted a letter. The commission asked for some documentation from the engineer, which we've provided, I'm sorry, from the surveyor, which we've provided, revision to the plans, the garage to be moved, and the driveway to be staked.
Yep.
So everything has been done.
And we have a
I
DEP
did
number.
contact the commission quite a few times to request the site visit. And we didn't hear back, so I just assumed that this hearing might be continued because of that. So I wasn't really sure how you wanted me to proceed tonight, if you want me to go through all the items, if you want to meet at the site, do the site walk.
Video now. So, did anyone see the video?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the cross. This is that you saw the first crossing. So this is the second one right here. So like it's kind of dry.
I like a dog.
No rain in that, so. And then.
I didn't hear a dolphin.
So the, out of the crossing now and.
Is that out there?
No.
Driveway actually goes
Thank you.
up through
That's
this
ONA.
area here, but
That's ONA.
then you have a chainsaw on me.
I know what this is.
So Karen, I don't know if you heard in the beginning when I took this video, the neighbor was leaving. So his concern was just making sure that the pipe is adequate, because that what area to the right that I showed flows up over the street.
Right, right. So we did provide some pretty detailed information from the engineer on the sizing of the pipes. It was in the letter format from Legacy Engineering.
So this is the upland area. So this is where the house, and then off to the right is the wetland where the garage is going to be. I don't know if you pulled that over a little bit.
We did pull it over. We pulled it out of the 50.
Kind of see the test pits right here for the septic. And this is what the kind of what the site looks like where they're going to be putting the house. And that's it.
All right.
Last time we were waiting for a DEP number as well, but we've got one now.
Yeah, we do.
We have one.
No, I really appreciate the updated plan. You absolutely jogged my memory about this plan, so now I remember, but.
But we were trying to be like skirting things informally, that's why sorry.
So we did
It's
submit
okay, I'm
several
just gonna
different
open it again.
plans. We submitted the Board of Health plan, the details, a plan for the Conservation Commission.
Last
We
revised.
tried to cover everything so you could see the whole area. We did details of the crossings.
Yeah.
Is there clearing required to build the replication area?
Yes,
You know how many trees?
I don't know, but I could get you that number.
Yeah, we did do that on Orange Street. We actually saved, because this is probably like a canopied wetland, right?
Yeah.
So so Steve, we like to save those large mature trees and kind of skirt around to get down to the water table.
Okay.
Steve, do you remember what we used for Orange Street for size?
I'm not sure. I mean, I can go in the field. A lot of times we can do it in the field too. So I know a lot of times, people want to do a bowl and just clear cut everything, Karen.
I'm happy not to.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to meet out there, Steve, and talk about it, I'm open to that.
Sometimes
I like that.
Sometimes you have to do it in the field, so if you get the roots and stuff.
Yeah.
Roots in the large canopies, and even, the commission's pretty good. We'd rather have keep the mature trees and then, like the lessons of the amount of
We go to 10 o'clock every night.
or digging.
That's nice to hear. I appreciate that.
Leaving after that.
Good.
Okay. You got this on it.
So we are going to use soils from the wetland area.
Wonderful.
In that area.
Right.
So.
All right. So it sounds like we want you to meet with Steve. Do we want to do a site walk?
I already did.
You already did. All right. I'm not gonna hold this up over me going on a site walk, but by the same token, we have other stuff that we want, that we need to continue this for.
Yeah, I think the replication area can be marked in the field, or at least kind of like designated, so that we can see, and then we can discuss each tree to be saved. I think we did do that for Orange Street. We went out to the site.
We did. And if you're going to 175 Southwest Main, this is
right next to it.
Right down the road.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, can I jump in for a quick
Oh, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Kara Chilizzi for Chimukowski Drive. Regarding the trees for the wetland replacement, I just have a quick question, because I did look into removing trees in a wetland area or near a wetland area that I know you're not allowed to stump a tree, but if they're due to the, I guess there was a big thing with worms eating a lot of the trees, and there's a ton of dead trees on that property, especially in the wetlands area. If there's a way to go around without cutting any trees, I'm all for it. And if there's anything that we can do as just as the owners.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad to do any wetland replication.
For sure.
Because it doesn't look like there's like a lot of square footage to do that, so I can easily attain those plants.
Yeah.
Without disturbing the earth.
And that's the intent. I mean, so with the replication, obviously, it's a balance of replicating making sure there's no net loss of wetland, but also making sure we're trying to limit our disturbance. But we can talk about this at the on site. I mean, I think we want to get a look.
Yeah,
okay.
I would be glad to do a site walk with anybody on the board.
Okay.
So if you're gonna save trees, I'd recommend having a nice flat area instead of doing the replication area and a steep slope, because the steeper the slope into the hill that you have to get down to groundwater, if there's a tree there, you're just gonna dig the roots up. So if the replication area can be more of a flat area, then you have a more advantageous chance of saving the trees, because you're not digging as deep to get to the groundwater.
Yeah, I don't think there's a slope really in the first 200 feet of the property. It's really level for the most part in that area where the replication would take place.
We took that into consideration determining the area.
Thank you. Okay. Do we want to schedule this site walk now, or do we want to wait to coordinate via email, or Steve, do you have a time?
Again, if you're going to coordinate with 175 Southwest Main, you might want to wait and schedule them both at the same time.
And then actually seeing the site closer to the October 4th date than, no, I'd rather see it closer to the later date than earlier, because I might forget about it again. So yeah, no, I'll keep on emails and we'll try to coordinate that with the other sites. Steve, that make sense?
Yeah, we'll try to coordinate them together.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to go out there with the same time you guys are and look at trees. Okay. Are there any other items for this? People?
No.
What am I doing? It's a public hearing?
Yes.
Anything?
What?
Yes.
They have Board of Health approval.
Oh.
Yes.
Good, okay, thank you. Any comments from the public? This is a public hearing. All right, I'm hearing now, I'll entertain.
I move we continue the public hearing to 7 PM on October 4th for 2 Makowski Drive.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Eric, seconded by Tracy. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mongem,
KG Dudley, aye. Thank you. All right.
So Steve, you'll let us know when the date is? For the sidewalk? Great. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me know when you have it staked out.
It's all staked out. It's been staked out.
It is.
Yeah.
I saw it already.
This is ready to be signed.
Okay.
All
right.
I am retiring
Thank you.
for the night.
Thank you.
I understand.
Just to let everybody know, so.
Thank you.
So you'll have to read the notice.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
Make sure that
Margaret,
he has the
I sent Margaret the email. She had an old
notice.
legal ad. The new one's updated and on the website. That's a lot shorter. So my apologies.
Wait, you want me to, Tracy just handed them to, you don't want me to read the ones
Yeah.
in the folder?
Yeah, this
I
one.
do. I'm just letting you know that I know we shortened it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it still is reading, it should have the updated,
Once I saw that, I sent her the revised one. Some of the engineering companies just had the old copy.
yeah, should have the updated order, the last one from June 15th, 2021. And it's repeating, public may participate. Still. And Steve, could you give me a call tomorrow, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Board?
Night.
Ciao.
See you later.
See you in a couple weeks.
All right. 7 PM. It's now 9:08. NODP number 143-1028. This is a public hearing. Notice of intent for 24 Locust Street. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. This is a legal notice for a public hearing pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act. The Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 13th, 2021 at 7 PM for an NOI filed by William Porter, located at 24 Locust Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40. The proposed work involves construction of a single-family house and appurtenances. Proposed construction activities are within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands. Public participation will be via virtual means only. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL 30A-18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies of the NOI may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission at 508-476-4000, extension 205. This appeared in the Worcester Telegram Gazette on Monday, 8/30/2021. Okay, Steve, do you want to introduce the property?
So it's 24 Locust Street, down by the apple orchard on Locust Street. It's on that same side. There's actually a little crossing. This lot was approved about 4 or 5 years ago. They actually cleared the lot. I don't know if they might have put the well in.
Yes, we did.
And they had the erosion controls and it just went dormant and they didn't do any work after that. And then I'm anticipating that they didn't get an extension.
Correct.
So the old order elapsed. It's all, I went by, I was gonna take a picture of it. It's got like 6-foot shrub growing back in it. Pretty much regenerated itself since when they cleared it. So Margaret said, I think they're refiling. This is the exact same plan that was approved previously. No changes.
Okay. So the first thing we have to do is issue the order of conditions for the old plan that was never completed to close it out.
The certificate. If you,
Certificate of compliance, sorry. Yes. So we had continued, we had said this was discussion item number 2. We said we were going to talk about it during 13, and here we are. Do we have the certificate of compliance? Is that like, just trying to, well, okay, so I have the plan. You're saying this is the same plan, but what they did was nothing.
yeah, I mean, there's no as-built on the certificate. They actually did some work. It's not like they didn't do any work on the certificate, so.
Okay.
But, procedurally, you could ask them for an as-built for what they did on the old order, and then they file this. But the certificate would be, you can't have 2 DEP numbers on one lot, so.
Oh, yeah.
Since they refiled, you just kind of take it by faith that you're closing out the other one more just to close the old DEP number out, knowing that they already filed for this one all over again.
Yep.
So yes, they filed the, I probably should have put in.
No, it's fine.
They did file the proper paperwork requesting the certificate.
Okay. Board, how do we feel about that?
Makes sense that you gotta close off the other one before you know, and I understand about 2 DEP numbers for the same property as well. So, I appreciate the fact that they're saying there's no, you know, the new project's gonna reflect the same, it's gonna be the same as the old project, but I think we still have to do the paperwork and dot the i's and cross the t's.
Okay. I'm just asking because I could entertain a motion now, or do you want to see more paperwork for that?
Well, if this was done 4 or 5 years ago, none of us probably
No.
worked on it. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I'm fine with just,
All right if I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Name and address, Margaret.
Margaret Bacon, Civil Site Engineering.
Thank you.
I'm here representing William Porter. Now, back in 2015, we filed an NOI for this lot, and they started construction in 2016, and all they did was really put in the erosion control. They cleared the lot, and then they put in the well, and that's as far as they got. And then he wanted to start construction up again this year, and he realized that the permit had expired, and it was too late to file for an extension. So in order to file a new notice of intent, we had to close out the original permit. So I pretty much filed both at the same time, the request for a certificate to close out filing. The new plan here, and the only thing different here on the plan is instead of a proposed well, I have an existing well.
Okay.
That's changed. Nothing else has changed.
The well location would be exactly the same.
We staked that well in, so.
Okay. The well's obviously already there. They're obviously not going to move it.
Yeah.
This is a pretty tight lot, and there's really not much you can do with it. As you can see, I pushed the zoning offsets, and I'm 50 feet away from the wetland in the back. So this
It's
is
tight.
it.
Yeah, okay. All right, board, I'll entertain a motion to issue the certificate of compliance.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
Motion made by Mark, seconded by Eric. A roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
I'm Rothman, the aye.
Mike Russell, aye.
Mark Monjam, aye.
KG Dudley, aye. All right, so that's, now discussion 2 is taken care of. Okay, and so then, now we all have to write in our notes. All right, so now we actually have to look at a plan. All right, then also, I guess, board, any comments about this proposed plan? It is a tight lot. Also kind of makes it very straightforward.
Margaret, there's no grading on the driveway. What direction does the driveway slope?
It's a garage under, so it's slowly grades down and under the house. So it's a, a full foundation at the front, but a full walkout in the back with the drive under. So I guess if you zoom in a little closer,
I can see the grading.
The shading covers up the grading. But, yeah, so 101, yeah, 100. So, yeah, actually, it looks like the grading goes from the house to the right and down. So, up towards the roadway, it's a little higher than it is, and it slopes down towards the house. But so the pitch is basically towards the house and to the right.
Thanks.
I see you've got plantings here along the construction limits on the right. Is there any plan for the construction limits in the back behind the deck? There's a stone wall, but then the stone wall ends behind the garage.
Correct, and I needed that stone wall to, for the grading.
Yep.
So I didn't go beyond that. But no, I just have the plantings on this one side. I mean, we could always put some on the other side if the board wants, commission.
What do you guys think? I noticed that she's got nice plantings, then she's got a stone wall, and then there's just nothing behind that deck. I don't know what the area looks like. I don't know if it looks tempting to put a lawn in.
Is it wooded beyond the construction limits?
Yes. Yeah, the swamp in the back, between the swamp and the erosion control, you have some mature trees. And the trees on this side of the erosion control pretty much been removed. But then again, it's been a few years, so you're getting a lot of saplings growing back up in the lot. But it is wooded between the erosion control down towards the wetland. Then it becomes more of a shrub swamp.
There's the septic's in the front.
What are the shrubs being planted?
On the plan, I have high bush blueberry and winterberry shrubs and a couple of red maples.
Ooh.
Thanks. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think I'm good too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go for that.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So we need a new notice of, this is a public hearing. Huh?
This is a public hearing. Oh, yeah, no, I absolutely need to entertain comments from the public.
But don't we need a new DP number?
Open this one?
Do they not have, is this not the new DP? Sorry, my mistake then. So we closed out the old DP, which was,
Number 2 or something.
well, no, it's on,
wait.
yeah, 143-0893, and now we're looking at 143-1028.
This is a different one.
It's a different DEP
Oh,
number.
they already have it.
Yeah.
I think they're good.
I don't know. Steve, do you think, can you see anything else that we're missing?
No. I mean, I remember this went right around 5 years ago, so.
How did they get a new DEP number with having a previous one?
Well, it's probably electronic filing and everything else, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question.
But I always make the policy of clearing out the old ones, just for paperwork and everything else.
Everybody's been waiting for the DEP. and-
Right?
No, I'm just
and these
shocked.
folks-
Margaret's over here getting new DEP numbers.
Margaret, do you have some special contact over at the DEP or something?
Well, I don't think the DEP goes to the registry and finds out which jobs have been closed out.
They probably don't.
They don't, they depend upon the local
Sure.
commissions to do.
Who wants to go through it twice, right?
Because what would happen is, if this got approved and the other ones go there, and then you closed out this one, and 15, 20 years from now, that one would be in a title search.
Yeah, show up.
Yeah, the DEP doesn't check.
Sort of irrelevant, the banks would say it's not.
Correct. So
Margaret's
this
good
way I
at this.
can discharge the original order and then record the new order.
Get a notice of intent. Okay.
Kind of keeps it clean.
Because it's a lien on the property.
Yeah.
Public hearing.
Yeah, no, I asked if there is any comments from the public on 24 Locust Street. I'm hearing
I
none.
move we close the public hearing for 24 Locust Street.
Second.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Monmany, aye.
Mike Burko, aye.
Mark Mungem,
KG Dudley, aye. All right, close the public hearing.
Do we want to issue a notice of intent with our normal conditions?
Yes. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying.
I think that's what we want.
There's nothing else on here that I
We
want.
don't have any special conditions to add. Our normal stuff will be fine, I think.
Okay.
So I move that we issue a notice, notice of intent. Is that what we want to do?
Wait, I have one silly question before we start this, and it doesn't matter. Where's the front door to the house?
Oh, geez. I hope they got one.
Opposite the back.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
I'm only curious because I just don't see a walkway to the front, and it doesn't make a big difference to me one way or the other. I was just curious.
Probably somewhere in the center, but because I'm so close to zoning, they're not going to have a front deck or a front,
Or
porch.
front step or a front walkway?
They'll have a front walkway, but
Okay.
concrete steps, but that's it.
Okay, so there's, I see the paved driveways here, and I just didn't see like a paved walkway from the driveway to the front door.
No, I didn't put it in.
Okay, but there's assumption that there would be some kind of walkway from the driveway to the door.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. Carry on, Art. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Just wanted to make sure they could get in the house.
Yeah. So we're looking to approve the notice of intent with our normal orders of condition.
Yep.
For 24 Locust Street.
Yep.
DEP number 1028 this time.
143 Tech 1028.
Second.
That's a motion.
Second.
And no, Mark already seconded it. But we can have a roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Monmany, aye.
Mike Burko, aye.
Mark Mungem,
KG Dudley, aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Okay, thank you.
All right, number 14, 7 PM, which is actually 9:24. This is a public hearing for the notice intent of 100 Davis Street or the Peter Michael Business Park, Tom McIntyre. This doesn't have a DEP number, but I do have the notification. So, NOI from McIntyre Loan Company on 100 Davis Street, Town of Douglas Conservation Commission, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 11516. Legal notice for public hearing pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. The Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. for a notice of intent filed by McIntyre Loan Incorporated, located at 100 Davis Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40. The proposed work involves construction of a 790 linear foot subdivision roadway with associated utility and drainage infrastructure. No direct wetland alteration will occur. Work is proposed only within the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. Public participation will be available by attending the meeting at the Town of Douglas Municipal Center located at 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass., or pursuant to Governor Baker's June 16, 2021 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL 30A18. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies of the notice of intent may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission at 508-476-4000, extension 205. This was published on Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. And this is the new public notice. And can I just take a moment to appreciate the new public notice of intent? This is much better than the old one, and thank you. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's hear about Peter Michael Business Park.
So just to introduce myself, Tom McIntyre, the applicant. I just want to introduce myself. Mark Allen on the screen is going to handle the presentation from here.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mark Allen, Allen Engineering. I'm representing Tom McIntyre. This particular project is a definitive subdivision plan of land that is running concurrently with the planning board in town. If I could share my screen, it might make things a little bit easier just to kind of to grasp.
We'll figure it out.
Can you all see that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So this was part of the abutters list that we obtained from the assessor's office. This particular property is comprised of 5 different parcels, all highlighted in yellow, and those 5 different parcels are owned by 3 different parties. So it made the applications interesting to get signed. But Tom McIntyre will be the future owner of the property, and he's acting as the applicant tonight. The property is fronts off of Davis Street, Route 16 to the west. It also has frontage on Monroe Street to the west in this location, and is bounded by the Dunleavy Brook to the north and some wetlands to the south. There are other properties along Davis Street that are all commercial industrial use. It's just south of the schools in this location. Topographically, I think we show it here, highlighted, hatched in red, showing the Dunleavy Brook to the north, showing the town line of Uxbridge to the north, and showing a high point in this general vicinity. It's also traversed by the gas pipeline from north to south. I'm going to go to the actual subdivision plan of land that was submitted with the property. I've highlighted in green the wetland area that is closest to the work, and the 50-foot buffer zone and the 100-foot buffer zone shown in that sort of orangey mustard color. The 2 culverts are shown in red per the town's local bylaw coloring chart. I kind of want to focus on this sheet out of all 13 sheets, strictly because this notice of intent only deals with the infrastructure of this particular 790-foot roadway. You'll notice that the entire 45 acres of property, there are other wetland resources on the property, but what we're looking to do is just file for a notice of intent for just the infrastructure associated with this road. It's clearly noted on all the plans down in this location here that as the individual lots get developed, they are required to, if they're within a jurisdictional area, file for notice of intent. That'll kind of clean up the trail of at the registry, as Steve kind of mentioned earlier. This will simply be for the installation of a drainage basin within the buffer zone to this wetland. I just want to kind of...
Can I just bring that up by bringing that So,
yep.
The wetlands, so there's this lot here, which is huge, so there's wetlands on this, so you want the commission to approve all the wetlands on the perimeter of the entire property, or just to approve the wetlands that are associated with the filing of the subdivision roadway?
Just the subdivision roadway, Steve.
Because then, so if someone comes in because this is a lot simpler than have just coming out and reviewing just a dozen flags instead of 1,000 flags. And then
exactly right.
Hire a consultant to go out there. So the order of conditions will be specifically state, and maybe this should state on the plan that we're only asking to get approved the flags that are in this green area right here.
Correct. And as I indicated, Mr. McIntyre will be doing a complete master plan for his property, at which time we're going to be showing, final grades, and we will expand the second notice of intent to include a lot more of the resources area on the property. But that's going to run separately than the road, because the road is going to be intended to be a public way, and we kind of want to keep this neat and clean and just have, one buffer zone filing for the roadway, tidy up the drainage basin, and then have the individual lots be associated with the private property owners.
No flags south of this property and the line southern right there?
Correct. No.
So the only flags in this whole area for this plan is just right there?
Correct. And I do apologize that the numbers were turned off. I turned them on for this presentation plan, and they'll be on the revised set. So they're kind of, some of them are cropped in green, but they're behind there.
So Mark, the detention pond is the only thing inside the buffer zone?
Correct. All of the roadway work, the asphalt, the sidewalk, the infrastructure is all outside of the buffer zone. This is the 100-foot buffer zone to this BBW in green. And portion of it has already been disturbed behind number 100 Davis Street. There's two buildings associated with it. This building here, this existing building here. All of the area basically behind this building is a riprap slope down to the wetlands, and it's been previously altered with their driveways and access around the building. So we're going to be actually cleaning that area up a bit, revegetating it and using it as a stormwater treatment basin.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, the planning board, we're also running concurrently. We had a meeting with them last week. They did agree to have it peer reviewed, not only for plane content, but for hydrology. I just need to touch base with the planning board. I know that they set up the account to do so. I don't know if they released the plans. Actually, I take that back. They're waiting till this meeting to see if there's any additional information that the consultant may need, and then we're going to send it off to get peer reviewed.
You need to get Margaret to get you a DEP number.
Absolutely. How does she work it?
She's just good. Okay, just point of clarification, it should have been obvious. The retention basin is just that area right to the left of what I'm going to call a cul-de-sac, but it's just kind of the end of this road.
Yep. So
okay.
The work being done in regard to the drainage basin is sort of in that area there.
Yep. Oh, nice. I like that highlighting. I know this might be out of scope, but you mentioned this area is zoned industrial, but like the other lots, you think that those are gonna, they look like house lots. Like this looks.
It does. It's a commercial / industrial subdivision, but it is under Mass General Law. It is a subdivision of land, so which means it has to get surveyed. It has to have the required area and frontage for each lot. So these are all individual lots at this point that we're going to have approved through the planning board.
Yep.
But we just don't know who the end users will be. So if a certain facility needs a similar sized building that what's on the property now, they may buy 2 lots.
Right. Yeah.
So
you're leaving it open ended.
Right. So on the planning board, it's subdivision. On the zoning, it's going to be commercial buildings.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're just looking to get the site work done?
Mm-hmm. Right, so with that being said, one of my questions, number 8, is your filing fee. You have the filing fee under single-family dwelling, and I think it really should be under the category 3, which is subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only reason we didn't, Steve, was just for the fact that none of the roadway or infrastructure, utilities are not associated with it. We just thought it was earthwork in the buffer zone, so it's minor, but it's up to the commission.
No, I would agree with Steve on that one. The subdivision.
Who did it? Was it Art Allen that did the,
Oh, geez, no. Yeah, I apologize again. Sage Environmental did all 180 acres of the wetland flagging. And I'm bringing up this slide now. The area highlighted in green is where the subdivision, actually, it's actually, yeah, so right here, this area as well. The drainage basin is going to be in this location here.
Yeah.
So Sage Environmental flagged all 180 acres of the property. This was the sketch that they sent to us. It was done in June of 2019. And just because of the pandemic, basically, no end user was sought until Tom McIntyre came along and he agreed to develop
that piece.
The industrial road to create frontage to get to the piece that he wants to particularly work on. And then that area is going to be out in this location here. So when after the subdivision gets permitted and installed, we're going to run concurrent filings for Tom to do a master plan in this area here. So I will add that note. In addition to adding the wetland flag numbers, I'm going to add the note from Sage and have them add a letter of explanation as to when and how they hung their flags.
or you can do the whole thing or just do that one area?
Just that one area.
On this map, can you very quickly point to the town line again?
Town line on this plan would be...
It's the red line on top.
It's way up there, okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be this line here.
Okay.
That's Uxbridge.
So they flagged it.
Okay.
So they're going on 3 years.
2019, so yeah, 2022, yeah, so June of 2022.
So depending on the mill, if they use a 3 mil flag plastic or a 5 mil, the flags are going to start getting deteriorated.
Yeah, I'll have them go revisit it to make sure they're still fresh.
Just make sure they're legible. Okay.
So I hope that kind of gives a clear picture as to what we want to do tonight, is to focus on the 790 feet of roadway and the dozen or so flags associated with that drainage basin, and just know that this is going to be constructed to road standards, town standards, and accepted as a public way. That's our intention. And then each of the lots, or a grouping of lots, will come before you for individual notices of intent where other resources will come into play, i.e. riverfront areas and some isolated land subject to flooding.
Okay.
So what you're doing in effect is you're really breaking up this project so that you can capture more wetland area potentially for...
No.
No?
No, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to act as one project, if you will, for cumulative effects. I know DEP looks for cumulative effects, which we are not going to hide behind. Again, we don't anticipate any wetland filling here. It's just buffer zone work. Not until we get to Tom's, phase 2 or phase 3 would we ever fill in any wetlands. So we're going to keep it as thin as we possibly can as we move forward.
Is this, I'm sorry if you already answered, this roadway has a sidewalk?
Yes, it does, on the south side.
Okay, so then...
We've asked the planning board for a waiver to do just one sidewalk, not two.
So then it's got a curb and a gutter, and the roadway drains, and that drains into that retention basin?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, well, I know, I'm just trying to give as much time to think of whatever comments I can give you now, because I noticed you don't have a DEP number, and I know you're going to get continued, but...
Correct.
I know, I want to give you the opportunity to get as many of our comments sooner than later.
Absolutely.
The planning board is doing the stormwater peer review.
Oh, good.
So we'll need that. So are they going to be doing that? So the commission's stormwater review is slightly different than the planning board. So I think there's some I might be wrong, Mark, but I think the stormwater management criteria for wetlands, there's a couple adders that not necessarily are in there for just strictly non-wetland stormwater reviews.
Okay.
So maybe, will their peer review this in conjunction, look at it under the Wetlands Protection Act stormwater?
Yes, yes, that was my understanding, yes. Yeah, and they'll see it in the hydrology. We meet all of the standards for stormwater management.
I forget which ones it is, what standards it is, but there's a couple standards where the Wetlands Protection Act bumps it up a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on if you're in a level area or if you're in a critical area.
Right.
Which one of these plans would the stormwater calcs be on?
It'd be in the drainage analysis. It's probably not
okay
in your packet, but it's like a 300-page report with the hydrology.
If you sent that, it should be on the shared drive.
I'm in the share drive, and I'm seeing, is this it? No, I might have it.
Let me see.
Drainage analysis, yeah, no, I have it. I have all 100, it's only 140 pages.
It's probably double-sided.
It's electronic, but thank you. Awesome. This will help me sleep later.
So I don't know if you reach out to them, so maybe we'll get a letter from them in conjunction from them reviewing for both boards.
Yeah, do you have any direct contact with Eve Tapper, the new interim planner, Steve?
I'll say I'll probably I can get her email.
Okay. Yeah, after this meeting tomorrow, I'll link you guys up together and just make sure that everything's getting captured in the peer review.
Okay, great. Who are they using?
I wasn't sure because they only voted to start the account, and I'm not sure who. The last one we used, they had Leonard Engineering do a recent filing, so I'm assuming maybe they'll at least send it out to Leonard.
Leonard was doing all Bill's work for years, yeah.
Okay.
Or reviewed.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little early to talk about doing a site walk, but if we did, is there access in here besides through the neighbor's property there?
Yes. Yep. So you could walk almost straight into the parking lot at 100 Davis Street, and you'd see the two buildings, and the wetland area would be right behind that second building.
Okay. Yeah, it looks, honestly, if I wanted to see that wetland area, the easiest way to get there would be go to the back of that parking lot.
Yes.
Grand Tech, right?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, is that Grand? Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the area. Speaking of being not familiar with the area, are there any, do you have any cold water fisheries around here?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, just because.
Those are across the street.
Yeah.
Those are across the street? Okay, great.
By 93.
Only because we spent so long talking about those last time. When we did 93 Davis Street, we spent a long time talking about cold water fisheries, so I'm trying to make myself aware early in the process.
That was quite some time ago, because that.
Yeah.
It was quite some time ago, but that was like 6 to 8 months of discussions. It's like a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to make myself aware of where those, presumably those same cold water fishery areas are in relation to here, even if they are hundreds and hundreds of feet away.
Sure. Yep. I'll ask Sage just to bring me up to speed. They didn't mention it as part of their scouring of the property, so.
No, they're probably not. They're across the street, right? That's light years away, apparently. No, it's fine.
Well, it does cross to this side, but not till further down.
Okay.
To the school.
This is further towards Uxbridge. Oh, yeah, because I asked where the Uxbridge line was. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if 10-4 would work for this project, because we don't know how fast the DEP is going to even give them a number.
This is true. No, and that's why I say I hesitate, because I have a sidewalk in mind, but I also think it's too early to contemplate a sidewalk, because again, we don't have a DEP number, and I don't know, the rest of the plan looks straightforward. I don't have any questions, so let me say, open to the board, if we don't have any questions, I'd like to also open it to anyone from the public who might have any comments or questions.
Nobody here.
Nobody.
They're all in bed.
I don't, okay. Yeah, if we have no comments, I'll entertain a motion to continue this.
Continue to when?
Oh, yeah, is October 4th work for you guys?
I think
Oh, no.
we're so jammed with October 4th. I know he's got to
We are jammed on it.
consultant rock. If we can push it back to the second meeting.
There's 2 in October.
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen at the
good.
planning board anyway as well, Steve. So yeah, I wouldn't think that'd be a problem at all.
It says so.
The 18th?
18th.
18th.
Yeah.
10/18.
Yeah, because the consultant hasn't even gotten it yet, so yeah, I think the 18th will give everybody
That's
time
better.
for us to get it reviewed, get a solid revision in, add everything that comes back from DEP and come back with a complete plan set.
Okay, so I move we move to continue 100 Davis Street project to October 18th at 7 PM.
Motion made by Art, seconded by Mike Greco. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Monjam, aye.
KG Dudley, aye. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Have a good
Thanks.
night.
Good night.
We
Take care.
will.
You too.
I got stuff to sign, so.
We still got stuff to sign?
But that's it. Is there any?
If there's one thing, 225U, if you could sign that order, we try to do it electronically, but it's just gonna happen.
No, that's fine. I don't want to sign 175 because we're not done.
No.
So that's 175. I got the copy of the letter, thank you. I don't know oh, we have a plan. Which plan did we get? This was the plan associated with the violation. FYI, we have that plan.
Okay.
Don't want to sign 175. I don't want to. Tracy's gone, or actually, first of all, do we want to close this?
Well, did you sign 225U Street?
I'm gonna, once I find it.
Okay.
I'm gonna,
Do we have any minutes to review?
no.
Ooh, there's a discussion.
Tracy was gonna apply some pressure to the proper, but she's not here to talk to, so, this will be 11 meetings behind.
Oh, we're way behind now.
It's not gonna be possible to have an accurate public record.
Nope.
There's no way you can go back and remember, or even from the quick notes I take,
Well, you would have to rewatch it.
yeah, but whoever wants to go watch 11 of them. It's hours and hours and hours.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not awful.
I'm not looking to do it.
No, nope.
The town needs to,
We do have a woman coming on board, or already on board.
well, from what I was told, the other committees aren't behind like we are. Ours get
This is 225U.
pushed aside, yeah.
What's that?
I don't know. But how about this? 9:50, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and it's been seconded. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Monjam, aye.
But I think.
Thank you.
Steve,
We were
Steve,
adjourning.
can you put on our discussion